Are we ready? Say schedule, but I'm gonna say we on the air. So peace, everybody. Welcome. Here's your sister Roo, MaWu Lisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. We are in the building, and we have missed you. We have missed each other. It feels like 99,000 years since we've been on here to review. So we are excited, but we was out there in the streets giving them lessons. So do know that we ain't resting on our laurels over here. So again, if this is your first time, welcome. If not, welcome back. This is UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo. Like I said, I'm your sister Roo. So that is your brother Nick. Nick, how is it going, my brother?
Man, it's going. Where is it going? I'm not sure, but it's going in every which way, in every direction. May. Listen, this is the last Saturday in May. Tomorrow will be the last day of May, and May has been a super busy but an incredible month between us doing our work in the streets, face to face with folks, because we're not just on the internet. We do this in real life too.
Real life.
So between that and all of the amazing programs that I participated in, from Pronoia Start Seed podcast on there twice in 1 month, and then also Dreams, Dollars, and Destiny, and the Dreams, Dollars, and Destiny promo tour. So I got to give a shout out to, first of all, of course, my sister MaWu Roo right here, but got to give a shout out to the Refile headquarters in Newark, New Jersey. Got to give a shout out to the Goddess Rael and Pronoia Star Seed podcast. I have to give a shout out to Queen B, Melinda, and Portia at Dreams, Dollars, and Destiny. Got to give a shout out to Knowledge Born Allah at Do the Knowledge Radio, and also of the Killer Priesthood Wednesday podcast. Got to give a shout out to Big E Astrology.
Yes.
And so we've been working this month, So it's like I said, it's been a busy and tiring month, but it's been a very fulfilling month. Yeah. So I'm happy to be back. I felt like I haven't been on UnRead in so long. Of course, myself and my sister, we always talk, and like I said, we saw each other in person to do that Wisdom of the Mother, my Umi said presentation, but it's nothing like being here talking about books. I miss it. So I'm just so happy to be back.
Yeah, man. Look, congratulations, Nick, y'all. If y'all haven't been paying attention, Nick been tearing up the set. Like, he has been on every platform. Even, and I even saw your Big E Astrology with the other queens, Dreams, Dollars, and Destiny. I was like, yes, following y'all around in y'all little tour. I'm loving it. Knowledge Born Allah, Pronoia Star Seed, the Killer Priest podcast. You have been doing it all, and I love it. I love to see us not only doing what we love, but helping the people, fulfilling the duty of uplifting fallen humanity. And we even had our May Unmasking Morality Zoom, which was fire, by the way. We don't record those, but man, when I tell you Knowledge Born Allah came in there and shifted the energy, we were already having a fantastic conversation, and he came in and pushed the energy up like 99,000%. It was fantastic. I loved it. And so we have one more Unmasking Morality at the end of June. So don't y'all miss it. You'll get that information. It'll be where it always is. So if you show up, you show up. If you don't, man, you missed out. But today you are here, and we got some fire. Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I done already made Nick concede and say he want to go first because he's scared of what I got to bring. I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't know if he should be scared, but I'm gonna tell you like this. It was a little hot in my hands when I was looking at it earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to be back. I agree with you, Nick. It's nothing like being here. May was super duper busy. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities. I also had to be on some of those same platforms and share about the mother and, you know, and celebrate our mothers and celebrate the wisdom of our elders. It has just been an amazing month. Definitely a 5 month, definitely power, power, power. And I have enjoyed it. So, like we said, you're gonna go first, Nick. So are you ready to give it to the people? Do you have anything you want to tell them before we get started today?
Yeah, but I'll just go right into my offering from that, and I'll just give the mathematics for the day because you mentioned fire. You got some fire. You got some fire in your hands. You're gonna be spitting some fire. Well, it's certainly a fire day because today is the 30th of May. And 3 plus 0 equals 3. 3 is a fire number, and it's a 9 universal day as well. And 9 is a fire number, and 3 and 9 are 2/3 of the artistic triad, 3, 6, and 9. So yeah, we're doing this for the family. 9 is that number of humanitarian and brotherly and sisterly love. So what we doing this out of love. We doing this for y'all. Like Roo said, uplifting fallen humanity is the name of our purpose and why we do it for who we do it for.
Hey, hey.
So it took me quite a bit of time to figure out what I wanted to bring. But I know that's a common struggle for us trying to figure out what we're going to offer. It took me a while. I thought I've been thinking about it all week. Like, what am I going to bring? But I decided to go with the current time, and I guess my hint. Well, you can't really see my hint, but I'll show you my shirt here. You know, so that right there, that's the album cover for AZ's Do or Die. You know, the first album. And on May 8th, 2026, he released Do or Die 3, which is the third installment of that series on the 30th anniversary. Happens to be the 30th of the month, but he released Do or Die 3 on the 30th anniversary of Do or Die 1. And so I figure, you know what? Why don't I stick with the theme and bring AZ's book, Treasures by Anthony Cruz. So this is my offering, and the other reason why I wanted to bring this, you know, along with the timeliness of it. When it comes to hip hop, AZ is my favorite MC. You know, if I had to do my countdown on my top 5, he's definitely in my top 5. Probably number 1.
Ooh.
Yeah. And his birthday is March 9th, same day that Biggie Smalls passed away. So he's born on March 9th. He's a number 9 person, and today's a 9 universal day. But let me tell you about Jewels, Gems, and Treasures. This is a book that's written by him solo, and it came out in 2015. So it's about a decade and some change old. And it came out around the time of the 20th anniversary of Do or Die. So that's a little insert there.
Nice.
That came with the book, you know, along with the bookmark.
Nice.
From Quiet Money Direct. That's his record label, his company. So this book is it's a memoir covering his musical career and the progression from the when he featured on Nas's Illmatic album up to the time of publication, but just to share what it says on the blurb. It says, Jewels, Gems, and Treasures is the Bible of the prolific poet Anthony A.Z. Cruz, who is a legend in his own right. Born in Brooklyn, he revisits his past, defining his purpose on becoming a part of a once rebellious hip-hop culture without direction, but yet still finding his calling. AZ, the only featured guest on Nas's Illmatic album, takes us through his mental process of lyrical creation. What was just considered a pastime hobby turned out to be a gift, not only for the poet himself, but for the listeners as well. Read and become mentally immersed in an art form that was originally forbidden by society, but now globally accepted by the masses. Written in his own words and spoken from a raw perspective, AZ, who is considered to be one of the most underrated lyricists of his time, paints a vivid picture of pleasure and pain. So that's the description there. And it's has 11 chapters. And I'll go through the names of the chapters. So chapter 1 is The Awakening, 2, Choices, 3, Changing of the Gods, 4, Still in Existence, 5, When in Rome, 6, Legendary, 7, The Final Frontier, 8, Reflecting, 9, Hip Hop, 10, Immortal, and 11, The Lost Scrolls. And at the end, he of course, he has the acknowledgments, he has a biography, and he also has a dedication to hip hop. So I first read this book, I believe around 2017 or 2018, around that time. So it's been some time since I've read it and since I've opened it. So I have a broad, kind of a broad memory of what's in this book. And I do remember going through this book rather quickly. It's a very easy read. When it comes to the formatting of it, the print is pretty large too. And it looks like it has either not a 1.5 spacing, but maybe a 1.25 line spacing, which also attributes to getting through this book fairly quickly. And when it said it is written entirely in his voice and by himself, that is very true to statement. And so with that being said, one of my critiques of this book is that he probably should have, if not co-wrote it, at least had an editor or another set of eyes. I'm not sure if he had an editor on it, but there were some typos and mistakes in it that that were not due to the forgot the word, but not the verbiage, but the language, so these are more like typos rather than a reflection of the authentic language. So I would say that was something that could have been improved upon. And then also when you co-write and you have someone there bouncing ideas off of, they essentially interview you when you're writing a book. They have a way of asking you questions and having a conversation with you that helps you pull out more information. And I feel like this book could have benefited from having a co-writer or someone that could ask him questions to get him to dig a little bit deeper into some things, particularly what was going on with his life at these certain moments where he was, signed to a particular label or released a particular album, because he goes through those ups and downs in his career where he got his first deal after doing Life's a Bitch with Nas on the Illmatic album, but then he went through his ebbs and flows of he never got dropped from a label, but or shelved or had an album shelved, but record labels folded. And he had to find somewhere else to go. So I think this book would have benefited from more introspection and reflection on some of those ups and downs, and not only his career, but also his personal life. He's always been one of those artists that never said a lot, in interviews. So I was looking, since it was in book form, I was looking to learn a little bit more that we don't necessarily hear through the music or through the interviews. But it's still a very informative book. It gives you some insights that were not, like I said, in the music or in the interviews. But I definitely think he could have went deeper, in this work for sure. But I didn't make any annotations in this book. But like I said, I went through it pretty quickly. I probably finished it within the course of a few days. But just as a fan, I definitely appreciate this work, appreciate this addition to his legacy. Like our brother Joseph Johnson said when he was on here quite some time ago, I think he was quoting 19 Keys when he said that every person, has a story or should put out a book to carry on the legacy and have something tangible that outlives your physical being. So I definitely have an appreciation for that. So since I did not make any annotations, I guess I can kind of go at random and see what I can open up to. Also, he has some lyrics in here too, and when we get to the Asiatic phase of his career, that's when that was my coming of age. That's when I discovered AZ, when the Asiatic album came out in 2002. Because not to make myself or anyone else feel old or elderly.
Oh, see, you ain't right.
Listen, I'm talking about myself too. I'm talking about myself. But just in case there's some contemporaries or some younger folks listening, in 2002, I think I was about, goodness, I had to be about at least 11 to 12 years old.
Oh my God, Nick, I can smack you right now. I'm so sorry.
But I had to say that because the reason why I had to say that was because Illmatic came out in 1994. So I was not listening to Illmatic. I was not listening to Illmatic when it came out. I was like 4 years old when it came out. So I didn't discover AZ until 2002. And sitting at home watching Rap City in the basement. And then the single off of that album was called I'm Back. So that's why I had to go to page 111, because that's what page it's on, 111, 111.
Which is a 111, which is a 3, but go ahead.
It's a 3, yep. So that's what got me hooked right there. And for the Asiatic album, he was on Motown Records, and he attributes not doing as well with that album with 9 Lives in Motown, because Motown is known for the classic soul music. So they didn't really know what to do with a rap artist, with the hip hop act. But what I did notice, what came out of that was those samples that he used on this, more so on he had some pretty classical samples on 9 Lives, but He had some Eddie Kendricks samples on the Asiatic album, and I think I'm Back comes from one of those Eddie Kendricks samples. But the first verse, iconic classical verse here. So I'll go ahead and read that first verse to I'm Back here, and I'm going to read it. I'm not going to spit it because I'm gonna read it because I want you all to hear every word. So I'm not going to rap it. I'm just going to read it. Spirit of Marcus Garvey, Farah Muhammad, Medgar Evers, and Bob Marley. I'm God body. The scriptures say Allah's inside me. So love. I was hugged by the arms of Gandhi, gave me my strength. You can tell somebody raised me with sense. We all need something to help us through our daily events. Bear with me. The toughest is tear quickly. No lie, pops still cry and he near 50. Freedom or death. I give a reason to sweat. No stress. Verbally, it's like I'm seen as the best. Who want to try me? Those
I heard your voice picking up there. You was ready to go.
Yeah, I was ready to go. But those opening lines, Spirit of Marcus Garvey, Farah Muhammad, Medgar Evers, and Bob Marley, I'm God body. That's how he opens that song. And that was the lead single. And I remember in the interview, this interview, I think it was in Word Up magazine. It wasn't in this book, but he actually wanted a fan mail to be the lead single, but the DJs, the labels, they chose I'm Back as the lead single. And Fan Mail is another beautiful record in which he's reading letters from the fans, in the verses, and again with those another classic soul sample on that one as well. But yeah, I guess I'll land it there. He goes through, like I said, it goes from pre-Illmatic, the story of how he and Nas met and how he got on that record in the first place. He wasn't even trying to get on the album. That was the funny thing. He wasn't even trying to get on the album. He was just in the studio supporting, and the beat was on. He was just kind of in the cut, mumbling to himself. And then Nas was like, well, what you saying over there? Let me hear that. And then he talked about how they got connected in the first place, the mutual contact. They spoke on the phone, the first time they met. And it was history from there. And then it ends off with the Do or Die 15th anniversary that came out in 2010. And that's pretty much where it ends off. And I'll also share, so the eight albums, from the first one up to the publication of this book. So I'll just share the dedication to hip hop, and then I'll land and I'll pass it on. But it closes out with dedicated to hip hop. Real or fake, lies from truth. Like school, I supply jewels to provide the youth. Survival proof, when mentioned, I'm in mint condition. Mind, body, and soul, my intent be different. Since the trenches, been sincere on the strength of friendship. Introvert, was taught to flirt with death from distance. Let me work, mindset, money, and moves. What you expect? Rhyme for wreck? I ain't one of you dudes. Nothing to lose. My lyrics soothe and settle the spirits. Sky's the limits. I reminisce. I used to drive in renteds. To my surprise, all I ride now got cowhide in it. Caught in the scrimmage, no shorts. I fought to the finish, no loss. My pictorial thoughts is replenished. Knowledge is endless. Look, listen, learn, and observe. Burn your herb. Superb rap. Shit, I earn my word. It's a wrap. So my offering for this May 30th, 2026, episode 44 of UnRead Book Review is Jewels, Gems, and Treasures by Anthony A.Z. Cruz.
Looking clean as the Board of Health on that John.
Yep. Yep.
I love it. I love it. What a wonderful offering. I never knew he wrote a book. I never knew he wrote a book. I will agree he is a very talented young man. And in 1994, I remember saying that he had a great career in front of him. Him and Nas were a nice combination. Nas is a prolific, you know what I'm saying, speaker and storyteller. And so to be paired with someone like that is amazing. I'm sure he learned so many lessons. I'm sure he did. And you spoke something there, that really resonates with me, is that you said you can tell that he wrote that book by himself, and that he could have probably benefited from someone, who understands the dynamics of writing a book and being able to extract that good information that makes the book flow even better. A lot of times, many of us from where we from, we write how we talk. I actually remember being in university and having one of my technical writing teachers tell me that I wrote like I talk. And I was like, well, how else am I supposed to write? Like, I'm saying what I'm saying, but as you grow and you understand literature more, and the reception, not so much the delivery, but the reception. When you start to think about that part, you realize that sometimes you can benefit from other eyes taking a look at what it is you're trying to portray out there. So would you say that this would be a book worthy of a rewrite?
Yeah. And I would say probably an update, because this book came out 10 years ago. So I would say not only but a rewrite, but an expansion.
Well, maybe we should reach out to the brother and let him know how we feel.
Yeah,
You never know. He like fan mail.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely an expansion piece, and something that will go deeper. And you're definitely right about the lessons, because you can hear the growth over the years. You can hear the shift in the subject matter, the growth in the lyrics over time. A lot, and there's a lot of, or I won't say a lot, but there's definitely his contemporaries that they still talking about the same thing that they were talking about 20 years ago.
Trust me, yes.
So yeah, yep.
So do you think if a young up and coming artist now was to read that book in its current form, would be able to extract some gems from it?
More than likely, yes. The industry has changed over time. We're in a time where you don't necessarily need a traditional record deal or record label. As a matter of fact, you might be worse off with a traditional record deal or record label. But even that's in there, because he started out on that path, and then now he's independent. So artists can gain, younger artists can gain some insights about the business side of things, of working with a label versus going independent, and learning about distribution and masters and all of those things that come with the industry. And they can learn some life lessons too outside of the artistry.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, as an independent person, period, with everything that I do, especially my art, my creativity. I definitely can appreciate feeling the pressure of thinking you need to be under contract with someone, and then realizing that that independent instinct in you was real, and it was there for a reason, and that you're better off sometimes just staying independent. I would love to see that again, like you said, with the updates to the things that have changed in the industry, what's gone on with Nas's career and some of the other people that he's been, he's worked with before. What does that look like in terms of what he's doing now? Kind of what that path looked like, and why he felt like maybe he didn't, go in a direction he could have. I'd love to hear all those things. So like you said, the benefit of an interviewer definitely could extract some really pertinent information that would give us a more compelling story. Not that that one is not, but it would definitely give us an updated look into the man that he is today from the young artist that he started as, because he definitely is a force and very talented.
Yes, indeed, indeed, and being that I read the book, I'm in full agreement with you about having that interviewer and discussing some of his contemporaries and the people that he worked with, and the path that they took compared to the path that he took, because that's definitely missing from this version of the book for sure.
Wow. Fantastic. I love it. I don't know, y'all. Maybe we can get Nick to drop a few bars for us on the way out the door. So let's keep that in mind, that maybe we can get Nick to just rhyme it for us. You know what I'm saying? At least those first couple of bars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Peace to everybody that is in the chat. Welcome to UnRead. It is Saturn Day the 30th, and Nick has just offered us something good on the brother. And like I said, that is definitely, I did not know he wrote a book, so I'm really looking forward to even just perusing that one. But I'm excited to reach out to him and have him do something new. I mean, he might be interested, especially since that new piece just dropped. Who knows? Maybe it's something in the works. Maybe our intuition is telling us that it's something in the works about to come and update that book, just like he update that music. I love it.
Yep, yeah, that's true. And I think we warm now. I think we warmed it up. We did the warm up. We got the stretching going on.
Wait. Should I pull up my sleeves?
I think you might need to. I think you might need to, because the way that you were talking offline before we went live, you said you got a hot one.
I got a hot one, man. Pull out your gloves, everybody. It's your sister Roo, y'all. We here at UnRead Book Review, and I told Nick I don't do no betting. That's my brother's thing. But if I was gonna place a bet, I was gonna bet that he and none of the people watching have heard of this book. And if they have, they haven't heard about it in a long time. This is one of my ooh-wee multi-level. I'm gonna sit here rubbing it. I'm rubbing. I'm sitting here rubbing it like this. Listen, when I started my studying journey, you know what? I love where I live. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that is the talking to babies, by the way. Talking to babies. Anyway. Didn't Bobby Hemmings say that's how you know you're doing something right? When you get all that?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, if I scream back, I'll be wrong, right? Anyway, let's get back to this high science, y'all. So this book, when I started my studies, I really used to resonate with the stories of the prophets. And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of the times we would get together to talk about some of the things we was only able to do this in small little circles because the things we was talking about, everybody else wasn't talking about. So you look a little crazy talking about some of this stuff out in public. So, you know, we would gather in these little places and everybody bring something and we be getting our study on. You know, it was a lot of notebooks and pencils that was on fire back then, right? One of the other things we did was we spent a fortune in libraries and Staples and all those other copy places copying books. Now, I know somebody somewhere gonna be like, you did what? I ain't do it. I didn't do it. What I'm gonna say is this right here that I have in front of me, you talk about typos. This was done on a typewriter. This book that I am going to share with you today.
Wait, say it again. You froze for a second. Go back like 15 seconds and say that again. You said last thing you said was typos.
Okay, you said you had typos. This was done on a typewriter.
Ooh.
Does anybody know what that is? Hello, everybody.
I mean, I know. I don't know about anybody else.
It was this thing with letters on it and a ribbon and ink, and you would type and it go ching, and you know, ching and ching. You know, you had like correction, little ink, and you know, all that good stuff like that. So I'm not gonna leave y'all. I'm not gonna leave y'all waiting too much longer because I got so much to cover. But here is the book.
Son of Perfection, Part 1.
Do you see that symbol in there?
It's a lot of triangles going on in there.
Okay, so you see, this is stapled.
Oh yeah, that's hand staple right there.
Old. Look at this. Look how old this book is. Old, inked up, torn up. Oh my God, just good old fashioned typing on paper. Okay, so let's get into this book. So first of all, have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so, but I will double check my Goodreads and make sure I didn't add it to there.
Okay, so this is Professor Hilton Hotima. Okay, Professor Hilton Hotima. And as you see, this is the sun, S-O-N, of perfection. But you saw on the front of the cover, the zodiac symbol. So you know we're talking about the sun too. So you know it's some astrology in here for all my astrology people, right? But I can't even begin to tell you how that is the beginning of what is in here in such a small piece of what is in here. This book is done in two parts, and it's called The Summary of the Hidden Teachings of the Apocalypse. Woo! So it talks about the last, and it has it here, the last book of the Bible.
A summary of hidden teachings of the apocalypse. Oh,
the hidden teachings of the apocalypse. In this book, well, should I say this offering was typed by the health research company in Pomeroy, Washington, right? And I'm gonna show you how typewriter it is, because you see it says the last book of the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. In the table of contents on the next page, can you see the typo?
Let me see. Lake Book of the Bible, chapter 1.
Right. So as you can see, they started out with some typos, but that didn't stop anything, believe me. So they got the Lake Book of the Bible, but it's the last book of the Bible, 7 incarnations The Indoctrine System, Fiery Serpent and False Prophet, Regeneration, Sex Force, Fourth Dimension, Four Principal Glands, Radiation, Light of the World, Mother of the Universe, and Solar Calism. Put that word in the back of your head, because I wait till I tell you about that one. But anyway, so it's broken down into 12 parts. That wasn't by accident.
Oh,
in the forward, okay. And let me just say, I have a few. Well, you know, I ain't got a few notes. You know, I got a bunch of notes. Let me just start with Hilton Hotima was born George R. Clements, Clements. He's an Aquarius, born on February 7th, 1878. Yes, your mama's birthday, exactly. Yes. On February 7th, 1878, right? Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and he died in February of 1970. It says that he was a 20th century American alternative health writer, esoteric author, and mystic, who also adopted the names Kenyon Clemente and Dr. Carl Critter. So, you know, the first thing I thought about when I saw this was that if this was not a Surprise Me week, I would have gave you all four of those names and we would have did the math on it like you did for Goddess Rael and all her transformations. Because this brother right here and these four different titles that he carried, because that's what I'm going to call them, titles that he carried, he did very different work under each name. When I say the man has a library of books, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, over 40 books, because I only highlighted the ones that I've read and that I work with a lot. So let me give you a few of the titles just to tell you, just to show you the depth of the brother we talking about. In 1956, he wrote a book called The Ancient Sun God. In 1957, he wrote Breath of Life and Flame of the Divine. Now, mind you, I'm only writing the ones that, I'm only sharing the ones that I read. It's other ones that he wrote in those same years. And if you get a chance, pull up his full catalog of work, because it's amazing. He wrote Cosmic Science of the Ancient Masters, Imperial Sea, Live 1400 Years in 1964. He's talking about living 1400 years in 1964. You know, people thought he was crazy. Hidden Creator in 1961. Live Better, Ancient Unknown Knowledge in 1963. Long Life in Florida, 1962. He had a thing with Florida because he also wrote a book called Creation, the Cosmic Radiation in Florida. He talks a lot about that. And if you don't know what cosmic radiation is, let me let you know, it's a whole new world. Lost Wisdom of the Ancient Masters, Man's Higher Consciousness, Pythagoras, Secrets of Regeneration, Soul Secret, We Do Not Die, Son of Perfection 1 and 2, New Super Sprays Endangering Your Health. He talked a lot about what was going on in the skies. Mystery Man of the Bible, Mystery Man, Mystery Sphinx. Like I said, he has a long list of books. Long list. So it goes on to say that he wrote books on dietetics because he was big on diet. He said that he lived as a breath and fruitarian for 80 years of his life. Now, no one can prove or disprove that, but that is what's on the record. He lived till he was 92. Right? And in his book, they talked about that the struggle between religion and science. Brother Marshall Garvin wrote about how he lived as a breatharian for a long time. He said that he became a vegan at 9 years old after reading about health in school. So we talking about somebody who was ahead of their time.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that for those of you who know, at MaWu Lisa Temple, we have our Hajia healing series where we do our healing chambers. We talk about all things health, mental, physical, emotional, financial, etc., etc., etc. And one of the things that always drew me to his work is that he said, like you hear a lot of people talk about how long man is supposed to live. They tell us that as soon as we begin to live, we're beginning to die and all these things like this. However, in his book, Man's Higher Consciousness, he wrote that man was designed to live 80 to 100,000 years before his teeth in alimentary canal were subject to degeneration. So in other words, you supposed to be 80,000 years for your teeth even get bad.
Wow.
Before your teeth even get bad or there's any signs of deterioration at all in your mouth. I know people who can't make it to 8 years old without problems in their mouth through no fault of their own, health and otherwise. And that's the thing that he was talking about how dental health even begins in the womb. But that's a whole nother part of the work. And that was published in 1952. And he said that this was man's miraculous unused power. And he wrote that book under Kenyon Clemente. Okay. So in addition to writing his own books, he had a lot of he covered a lot of rare out-of-print books by that company, the health research company, in the 50s and the 60s. And he had a lot of contemporaries, including Alex Carrel. I don't know if anybody ever heard of him. Johnny Love Wisdom, probably you heard a lot about him. And Theos Bernard. So those are some of his contemporaries and some of the people that he worked with, giving you a little bit of his background before I get into here. We ain't even got out the floor with y'all. How you feeling? Are you dizzy yet, Nick? Are you dizzy? You good? You good?
No, I'm over here looking up his catalog, while you're talking. And I saw that one, Man's Higher Consciousness. That's the one that he talks about the fruit and vegetable diet and limiting the amount of food that we eat and the importance of breathing fresh air. That's in Man's Higher Consciousness.
Yes. Sound a lot like Dr. Africa and Dr. Sabi and all of our other master teachers that told us the same things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
so now we see they wasn't pulling information out the sky. Well, they were, but And okay, so in the foreword here, it says that man is the subject of ancient scriptures, and the perfect man is the hero of ancient scriptures. I always thought that was such a powerful way to open a book. I mean, I haven't seen one like that. Man is the subject of ancient scriptures, while perfect man is the hero of ancient scriptures. It says, according to the principles of ancient masters, complete self-mastery was their standard of a perfect man. For he who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city. And they quote Genesis 2:17 and Revelations 21:7 when it says that he that overcometh the desires of flesh and passions of the blood and obey.
Uh-oh, did we lose her? I don't know. She went black. Got cut off. You know, maybe the maybe the book is too powerful. The information is too powerful. They try to take us out. So hopefully she'll be able to log out and come back in. But you know, wow. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Okay, let's bring it back on stage.
That's how you know you doing that thing, boy.
Oh yeah,
that's
what I was telling them.
Cut me off that. Where did cut me off that?
I don't remember, honestly.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I was reading. So for those who, I don't know where cut me off, but I was reading. They had talked about he who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city, and they followed it up with Genesis 2:17 and Revelations 21:7. And I found it interesting. I found it interesting that those are the same numbers.
Yeah, look at that. Look at
it's
that.
The beginning, it's the Alpha and the Omega. Think about it. It's the Alpha and Omega. Genesis 2:17, Revelations 21:7, beginning and the end.
Yep.
Right? So it says, and our perfection will be his God, and he will be my son. S-O-N. Right? And then it says, the first and the last book of the Bible deal with the forbidden fruit. The last book describes the symbol and parable, the nature of man who heeds the commandment to not eat of the forbidden fruit, and defines the great reward inherited to him for his obedience. For such is the only man who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. Revelation 5. Right? So it says, in the last book of the Bible is concealed all the greatest secrets of the human body and the microcosm, that's what we are, the microcosm of the macrocosm. It says this secret hidden in the symbol and parable is so strange and so obscure that yet modern history and modern science still knows nothing about it. Priests and preachers still have never discovered it. And the purpose of this work is to uncover and reveal that carefully guarded secret in the language so simple that it can be understood by an 8th grade scholar. That's the forward, y'all. That's the forward. That was a challenge in the forward. Like, if you can't get this, you dumber than an 8th grader. That's basically what it's saying. We making this real simple. And like I said, all this is tight. This is tight. And so when you go through and you see some areas where the words are not so clear and things like that, it's because it's actually typed on a typewriter. This is one of my favorite books ever. And when I say to you that every page has something worth taking away from it, it does, because of the way that it was written. Even though they give you the chapter numbers, but inside of each chapter are sub chapters, and it begins to talk about Apollonius, and when it talks about Apollonius, they talking about the New Testament Paul.
Yes.
Okay. And a lot of people know that Paul was called Pol, P-O-L, at one time. And if you look into the Hindu scrolls and things of that nature, that's who he was in that time. And then he had a first copy of the Hindu scrolls called the Initiation of Anointed Iosus. IEOSUS. Close to Jesus, because that's what that became later. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it says when the Greeks copied Paul's copy of the Hindu scroll, they changed it to the Apocalypse. So this scroll went from an initiation to revelation and talk of destruction, because of the simple fact the symbols and parables held within the Old Testament and even in the beginning of the New Testament was not properly translated or shared. And so it's saying that it says the book is so old that its origin is lost in the night of time. The book is so baffling that the church refused to let it become a part of the Bible until the 19th century. And then, for a most peculiar reason, it was embraced with open arms. Can we figure out why? They learned how to control it.
Mm-hmm.
They learned how to change the narrative. They learned how to change the language. Because when you take it from the Hindu scroll, and then it says what happened to Paul's copy of the Hindu scroll after his death in 98 AD, and it was found by one of the Marcion at Ephesus, along with some of Paul's others writing, which were used to cover the Bible makers and compiling the New Testament, and they rejected the scroll because of the symbols and the parables. So Ephesus, let me just say about Ephesus for a second. There's Ephesus and there's Esophus. Up here where I'm at, there's the Esophus and there's the Brotherhood of the Esophus. And that whole town is still run by the monks. They still wear the robes with the rope around their waist and the little ball parts on their heads, and they still are the master winemakers up here. It's a real deal. It's like you should go check out their library sometime. But the first thing he mentioned after about Paul being having access to the Hindu scroll and losing it, they started to talk about things like reincarnation right after. And again, they call Paul the father of Christianity, right? And but it says that it was Marcion who translated it into Greek and began the work that laid the foundation for the New Testament, and that's why he's called the father of Christianity. And then it goes on to talk about the apocalypse itself, and then it says that the apocalypse is a fable, straight up and down, is one of the most stupendous fables ever written, so comprehensive, so complete, so coherent that it is a full beauty, and it's even in its fine finished details can only be perceived by those who view it in its entirety. Nor can its esoteric meaning be grasped by merely analytical study. It is a multiplicity of deep details and reduplication of symbols that have been utterly terrorized to have been fared even worse through their inability to distinguish from the action of the fable. So basically, I took something, I made it a lie, then I put a truth on top of it, and then I doubled down on the lie, and then I put a truth on top of it. So you don't know where the lie or the truth is. You just got something. You know it's something there, but you don't know what it is because it's latent in lies. You know, it made me think about what my Omi said, my grandma said, taking us back to the wisdom of the elders. And the thing that's so crazy is the next part is the ancient wisdom. The next part after that is the ancient wisdom. My grandmother always said that every book has 99 lies and one truth. And it's our job to go in and find that one truth. And so I can truly see where, you know, just in the Bible itself, it talks, and even in these early works, it talked about people throwing away Bibles and getting rid of Bibles, looking for some other kind of spirituality because they see the lies. But what they don't understand is that was done on purpose. I want you to throw this away. I want you to think it's nothing in it. I want you to think it was made just to hurt you. I want you to think it was made just to entrap you. Because if I can make you believe that, you know, I can give you what I want to give you. It goes into talking about the microcosm and the solar man, the cycles of life, right? And then it goes into the 7 incarnations. You know, it mentions yoga here. It mentions things like sacred breathing here. It mentions things like the astral plane and the astral body and the cells. And that was one of the places where it got me, because it talked about cell regeneration. I've always been very interested in that topic. And I'm going to read this part here, and then I'm going to take a little break just to, you know, see if there's any things you want to throw back and forth here, because but trust me, I got a lot more notes if you wanted to keep going. But I want to read this part here because I think it's really important, especially, and I felt like you and my other numerology and astrology folks could really appreciate this part right here. It says here, Max Stauffer, the world's greatest second sightist, wrote, "Man is a creature of vibratory impressions only. Man is a creature of vibratory impressions only. In the material world, he is a creature of but 5 sense impressions, namely seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching. But there are perhaps 500 other senses used." And this is from Mass Intellectual Pressure, page 12. It says the main reason why Hindu scroll was so darkly veiled because it treats the mysteries of the 7 senses of man, mentioned often in all forms in the Bible. And then it goes into the astral body and says, the masters knew and taught that man has 7 senses instead of 5. Here's their proof. Solomon's temple approach, it says led an approach consistent of 5 and 7 steps. Jesus fed the multitude on 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes at one time. The fragments left filled 12 baskets. All of that is in Matthew 14:17-20. And at another time, he gave the multitude 7 loaves and a few little fishes. And the fragments remaining in the basket filled 7 baskets. And that's Matthew 15:34-37. And it goes on to tell us that the 5 represents the sense of powers in the average man of darkness, and the 7 represents the 7 senses of power in the seer. The 12 represent the 12 signs of the zodiac. And it says, heed not the dead letter of the Bible. Look for the hidden meaning. The dead letter does not make sense, but the hidden meaning in the message reveals the deep secrets of life.
Wow. Wow. Well, I definitely want to hear more. So I'm not going to take up too much time. But you mentioned that chapter, that section of the book discusses Apollonius, and Apollonius is in another one of Professor Hilton's work, Mystery Man of the Bible. I believe, yeah, Mystery Man of the Bible deals with the life of Apollonius, the hidden life of Jesus, the Council of Nicaea, falsification, the legend, and truth interwoven, mystic sleep, the second coming, and true understanding of the biblical statements. So I just wanted to mention that because you see Hilton's books, they kind of overlap with some of the subject matter. So I just wanted to mention that. Mystery Man in the Bible talks about the life of Apollonius. And yeah, we love those numbers, those 5s and those 7s.
Yeah, and the 12.
Yeah,
and
the
the
12
12,
also.
and I think that, when we start to really understand, we have to really grasp when this work was written, and to hear them talk about how the things we do now is new age. There's nothing new under the sun. This is what it's always been. This is what people always been trying to figure out. Right?
Yeah. Yes,
and
true.
and it says it goes on to talk about the nerves in the body being 420,000.
400.
Right? And it says that 3 are the ones that we should be worried the most about. But it goes further into talking about yoga and Kundalini power, and how it calls Kundalini power the true mother of the universe. And this month of May, we spent all the time talking about the mother and all the things the great mother is. And definitely we talked about the mother of the universe, and that creative and that creation energy that that is possessed. And so when it talks about that Kundalini power, it goes into that. It talks about the solar chambers, which they call a cosmic science. They go into what the kingdom of heaven is, talking about anatomic intelligence. I was like, wow, we was talking about emotional intelligence. Now we talking about anatomic intelligence. It talks about the electricity, and how a open study of psychology and some of these other sciences, you know what I'm saying? All these things combined. This is why they were all combined at one time, because they truly do give you the universe in its whole when you are allowed to be able to connect those dots. So when you hear people say everything is connected, this is one of those places where we truly see that. You know what I mean? Where we truly see that. So, like I said, it goes into the Kundalini power. I wanted to mention this here. It says, now it's my neighbors upstairs. I promise you, between the two of them, I don't know how I get anything done. I promise, I don't. It is like, I'm really, you know what? It's like one of those things. Like when I leave here, I'm gonna let everybody know how I really feel, and it's gonna be really ugly. But anyway, it talks about the 7 seals being 7 cells. Now, I don't know if you ever saw the episode that I did with the healing chambers. I can't even remember if that is one that is still up. That might have been a really older one, but we talked about cell salt, and how each zodiac sign had a cell salt assigned to it. So your sign has either sodium or one of these other basic salts that we find in sea moss and all these other places, where this is reasons we're supposed to be taking these things, because they feed our cells versus just feeding our bodies. So in this particular work, he talked about how the 7 seals and the 7 cells are the vital battery of the body, and he connects them again to the 7 chakras. And so I thought that was very interesting. And then it talks about how the sacral plexus, and I thought this was interesting, the sacral plexus being the lowest cell of the battery. And I was like, wouldn't that be the root? But no, they don't consider, they don't, when they say sacral here, they remind us that the root is not only the base, but it's also the sacred space. That's where, that's where the snake basically sits, in that sacred place. And it's once we begin to understand how to move that energy up through the other chakras, do we truly experience that full circuit of electricity that allows us to experience that full health that would allow us to be 80,000 years old. I can't even imagine 80,000. Here, I want to live to 120. They talking 80,000. That's giving me a whole lot more to think about. You know what I'm saying? But it goes into the different systems, the endocrine system especially. And I wanted to I kind of, like I said, I have a lot highlighted in here because I didn't know how deep we wanted to go today. But what I will say is that for anybody interested, I will be reading some more passages from this in the UnRead Lounge later, for those of us who just want to go over passages, in this book specifically, because this next part that I'm gonna leave you with, I want everybody to take with them and kind of just think about what's going on in the world right now, and also what's going on in your own lives right now. Now, I don't pretend to be a very worldly woman in the way of being out there in them streets, but what I do know is that ain't nothing out there in the streets but trouble. I know that part. But one of the things that we have talked about at MaWu Lisa Temple, in our clubhouse talks and in other places, Nick, is we talked about the looseness of sexual relations in this day and time. And they mention that in here in full detail, in a lot of detail. And it talks about how we've moved so far away from the true purpose of sexual relations that we have lost all the benefit of it, outside of just being able to recreate, and that we're not even doing that right. Whew. The fact that it say we're not even doing that right, that we're not even reproducing right. We're not even putting the right energy into the children before they get here. Right? So I wanted to read this part here. Okay. Here it is. Here's the part I wanted to read. Okay. Oh my God. It's like all of it I want to read because I got it all highlighted. But anyway. Okay. Here. It says, the ideals of the masses have been so badly shattered by contact with the exoteric misconceptions of sex that they have put all thought of it from them as something too vile for consideration, and thus remain in darkness as to the highest side of life. The esoteric, the inner folks, and the esoteric should be taught that the redemption of man and the awakening of the kingdom of heaven within depends upon the purification and proper use of all functions of the body and brain for the glorification of man and for the God of the earth. And it goes on to talk about how sex, basically done the way that it's been done, is part of our downfall. And then it says the body is an instrument, and were as a garment of the robe, it says, and as it is a garment of the robe of the soul of man, the latter is given over to fornication and he becomes defiled. And it goes on to talk about masturbation, the carnal mind, eunuchs, ones that are born that way and ones that are made that way, the purpose of regeneration, the purpose of semen retention, the purpose of the flesh, and knowing how to work with the body in cycles. And it goes into a lot, and it talks, and then it has a chapter just on the sex force, and they call it the Great Red Dragon. Well, it was in a book called The Great Red Dragon, and it talked about the science of regeneration and virgin births, and the Hindu version of the sex force. And yeah, I just say like this, what they say here is true. If we are not kept in the darkness, and if we were not deceived from childhood, if we knew what the Bible actually teaches, we would not regard it as a dead word of a mythical God, but as a scientific treatise in the ancient masters on the creative force of the human body, portraying and presenting over and over in symbol and in parable and in many various ways, from the ancient serpent in the Eden garden to the great red dragon of the apocalypse. Both the good and the evil, the constructive and destructive phases of the great force of man is so infinite that it goes lower than the deep and higher than the heavens.
Woo!
I'm done.
Yeah, and we need we need some of them knowledge born our live bombs to be dropped right now. Need about 3 or 4 of them joints back to back.
Yep.
Perfection right there.
Let me let you know, this is one of those reference books that, first of all, just going back to it and seeing the typing takes me back. You know, I had a typewriter. I learned how to type on a typewriter. And you know, I ain't type nothing like this. That's for sure. I ain't write nothing like this. But when I say that this is a great wealth of information, it truly is. And it's so well put together to be so old. The some of the typing is crooked and everything like that. And you know, they have places where it was typed and you can see they put an arrow and wrote the letters in. You know, it really is a original piece of work. If I ever had if I ever wanted an autograph or something, it would have been this. But that handwriting in the actual body of the text is enough for me to say it might be close to an original. And I did share a word with you, solarism, and he says that they are presenting a new doctrine, and he basically talked about how they made this new but old way of going back to our ancient ways. And so that's the last part of the book. And it says, it basically just says, the ancient sun god, it says, for a father of many nations I have made thee. And so it gives credit to Ezra and in his work. So like I said, this book right here is a master study. It ain't for those who just want to come in and read something cover to cover, because it's not a cover to cover book. It's a take it in sections part, break it down, do some research from some other books, get a dictionary, come back, make sure you got Google to help you pronounce some words. All of that good stuff is all the things, because it's definitely it's a classic.
Yeah, sounds like it. And you know, shout out to the chat. Guys, Rael came through a little earlier, so shout out to her. And I don't know if she's still in here or she's going to listen back to this replay, but we talked about this too, especially that last part about the sexual energy. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but going back to the chat, shout out to Lady Saturn 22, another Starseed family member in the building. So, Lady Saturn, I'm going to put this in the chat too, but the name of this book is called The Son of Perfection, Part 1. Son of Perfection, Part 1. So you know there is a Part 2 available. And this is by Hilton Hotima. But I'm typing it in the chat for you as well. I'm about to put Hilton Hotel. The Hilton Hotima. Okay, there. Okay, so there it is. Yeah, yep. So Lady Saturn, they ain't teach you this in Kingdom Hall now.
No, they didn't. They didn't teach us that one there, baby.
Yeah,
not at all, sister. That one in Kingdom Hall. Tell us, look, listen, sister. They didn't teach it at at none of the places we was at. Not this right here, not this way, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So but I wanted to go back to that. Let me see. I put a couple things down here, man. So many things. I mean, even going back to the numbers. When I know I have to get into my other numerology systems. Have to dive a little bit deeper into the biblical numerology. But when you talked about the 5 senses and the 500 senses, the number 5 made me think of the number of man, that arm, leg, arm, head. So that's what came to mind. And then there's several correspondences with the number 7. But immediately I thought of the 7 chakras when you talked about those 7 senses there, and the 7 seals. And the sexual discourse, the sexual energy. Well, first you mentioned the Kundalini power. So that Kundalini power, that mother energy is connected to that sexual energy, right? And then also that conservation of sexual energy, that's also the Christ oil. And when I was reading about that from the same Facebook page that we were talking about on Pranoia the other night, with that breakdown of what love is and what love ain't, a Gnostic Trek. I gotta give another shout out to them. They also discussed the Christ oil and how the Christ oil is most potent at certain times of the month. And we talk about the moon. So shout out to Mahatma Starseed. They talked about that moon energy with the mother and the moon cycles. But they also talk about the enemies to the Christ oil, the things that inhibit the Christ oil from rising. But the draining of creative vital energy is one of those factors that drives the Christ oil, and is described as the degenerative fluid as the biological cousin of the sacred oil. What depletes one depletes both.
Yes.
So, and it talks about how that oil is produced monthly, and like I said, by preserving that fluid, that life force, and along with avoiding certain intoxicants, such as alcohol, other also acidic food, stress, lack of rest, things like that. Those are the things that inhibit the rising of the Christ oil. But these are also the things that affect the sexual potency and the sexual energy as well. So,
Yeah.
I was connecting those dots as you were reading that passage there.
Yeah, and I just want to say to all the folks, thank you for being here with us when we share these things. And y'all have to excuse me sometimes when I get excited when I be reading, because I'm so excited. Like, if you could only, if I could just let you inside one moment to feel the excitement I feel when I bring this information to people, because it's like, you come across this kind of stuff. Like I said, we were in small handfuls of people, so 3-4 people, but there's hundreds of people around us, and we're just like, nobody's reading us. Like, why is nobody doing this? And so, my excitement sometimes when I'm here unread, y'all, is just because I'm so excited to be sharing finally information with people who may take this and really go somewhere with it. In Islam, it tells us that, when you learn something, you're supposed to share it, because the person you share it with may understand it better than you. And so, when I get this information, sometimes, even sometimes the stuff I understand, I know somebody else can expound upon it more than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the smartest person in the room. I might just been the person that found the book. You see what I'm saying? So I'm always here sharing, looking for that feedback from my sisters and brothers, and knowing that this is something that affects us all. And I was going to say, summertime is coming. So that means MaWu Lisa Temple After Dark is coming back, and we will be talking about this sex force. And not only that, they mentioned something very powerful. They talked about, when we start having sex, how we having sex, who we having sex with, what happens after we have the sex, what happens in between the sex, and what happens when many of us figure out that sex is just not where it's at. Because the same reasons that it depletes us, like you said, the depletes the energy, it takes away from the vitality, all these people have sex to get rid of stress.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So you got people doing something that, if they knew what they was doing, it could actually benefit them. But the fact that they doing it mindlessly and based upon the way the society has created it to be over all this time and presented it to be, we losing. And this is why we dying. And we still not satisfied. You got a bunch of people walking around here fully engaged in relations and still ain't satisfied. And they can't figure out why. Because it's not connecting the spiritual and the physical. We physical, but not really. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why when we go into the valley, if you're lucky enough to know how to get into the valley, and when you go in there, it can be fun in the valley. It can be fun in the valley. You can pick up all kind of energy in the valley. But if you don't know what you're doing, you leaving it all right there on the valley floor. And we don't talk about that. We still talk about sex like little children. We you did that. And if we're not doing that, we being vulgar.
One extreme to the other.
One or the other. We either sheepish or vulgar. When we gonna learn how to talk like adults? But it goes back to what it says here about that strive for perfection. We're not talking about never doing anything wrong, whatever that is. We're talking about getting in tune with what's inside of you. This thing is supposed to be working 80,000 years. 80,000.
80,000.
Now I know who's the oldest? Big Mama, my oldest children's grandma. I think she was 112 or 113 when she left here a couple years back. And she was just as sound in the mind as you could ever imagine. Only thing that was wrong was her legs had gave out on her. But here and here, sharp as a tack. Now, I would argue, listening to what people say about what your diet should be, and me knowing what her diet was in the South, make me ask some questions. But that was what she ate all her life. So that has something to do with it. It's too much for us to learn about ourselves, for us to be running around here acting like we ain't got nothing to do. I'm gonna tell you like this: I couldn't eat like she ate and live that long. But she can't live like I was living and live this long neither. I had a whole different set of circumstances that caused me to be where I am, just like you do. You know what I'm saying? The things your mother and father did in terms of diet and the way they dealt with stress and the way they dealt with the world, you know what I'm saying, was different than how you deal with it. And they may look like they could deal with it better, but they deal with it different. And that's all it is. It's the same. Nothing new under the sun. It's just cycles. And that's what this talks about when it shows us this very intricate wheel in here and it goes in the back and they show you. I hate bending my book, Lord God, please forgive me. But you see how they show the man bent around the wheel?
Yep.
They showing you that this is all you from the feet to the head. From the head to the feet. I can't see which direction I'm going. But you see what I mean?
Yep.
They showing you how you in every house. All of this is about you. All of this. So I would just say to people, oh, and how can I forget this part? I do want to mention this part because we all know I love my music and my esoteric art. We know that, right? We know I love my esoteric art. Well, didn't they mention something in here that made me squeal as it did the first time I saw it? It talks about where is it at? Here it is on page 39, right? It says from Revelations 5 and 1 Corinthians 15 and 20. It says, when the serpentine fire is raised up to the brain and has opened the 7 seals of the body, it then becomes the great fruit of man. Such man has overcome the temptation of flesh and has obeyed the command not to eat the forbidden fruit, and he inherits all things in life, and perfection will be his guide, and he should be my son. It says the serpentine fire resurrects and activates the pituitary and the pineal glands of the brain and the organs of the 6 and 7 senses, and produces strange powers of clairaudience, clairvoyance, and powers of the seer. Now, we all know I love Earth, Wind, and Fire, and one of their best songs was Serpentine Fire. Come on now. If I could bring that song in right now, that would be a mic drop, because that is the song right there. And if you've never listened to it, go listen to the words of Serpentine Fire. And if you still need some more help, join us on Esoteric Art Talk, where we can talk to you about those lyrics, because they are truly, truly fire initiators. And I rest.
Woo!
Earth, wind, and
Fire.
fire, you know how they get down.
Fire. Fire Day. You know, May 30th, 9 Universal Day. The heat is cooking in here. You know, we got, you know, it cooled down outside today, but that's okay because it's heating up right here on UnRead. It's hot. It's hot in here. Serpentine fire, not just regular
Serpentine.
fire.
That's
fire.
right. Serpentine. Let the serpent move on up.
Oh yeah, move up the spine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's moving up, and it's moving up that spine, that serpent, that kundalini, that Christ oil.
Yes, and then just
how it travels.
And then wash down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people don't even know that the energy don't move like this around your body. It moves like this around your body. So it come up and it go down the front, go up the back, come on down the front. Oh, look at that. I just feel so good doing that.
I mean, you just move some energy around. That's
hey,
why.
listen, gotta do it. But that is my offering, and it is my true desire that people take a look not only at this work, but some of his many other works. And hey, listen, you have a new reference to put into your library, because Dr. Hotima, you know what I'm saying, Brother Clements is all right with me.
Yeah, I was that, like I said, I was looking these up, and I was going through the list. I was adding them on there. As a matter of fact, before you even mentioned the Great Red Dragon, I saw that one up there. Added that one to the list. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one you just mentioned. And there's two parts to Son of Perfection. You got, yes. Son of Perfection, you gotta go get the second one, because that second one sounds fire too.
Yeah, it is.
Talking about man as the subject of the ancient scriptures. Like, what?
Yes. Because it's telling you that perfect man is the hero. Mm-hmm. Because man is the whole purpose of the scripture, and that the perfect man is the hero of the scriptures. It's when we rise up. That's when we the hero.
Yep.
So definitely, definitely not a work for those who don't want to do the work. Put it like that.
Oh yeah.
And one of the other books that I kind of want to just throw out there, like if you go and grab a book, because I'm looking for it myself again, it's from 1960. It's The Ancient Secret of the Personal Tetragrammaton.
Oh, okay. The Ancient Secret. Yeah, because I think you either mentioned that one before or
yeah, I have mentioned this several times before, because it's one of the ones I'm on the hunt for, and I figure if I say his name out loud enough, it'll come to me, because that's how my books come to me. I tell them I'm ready. I say I'm ready, and then it show up a little bit, or one that I need before it'll show up. So yeah, but that Tetragrammaton, I started learning about that a long time ago when I started learning about gematria, and I had to put that down for a minute because I wasn't old enough. But I think I might be old enough now. I think I might be old enough now. I think I might have read enough books to be able to keep up.
Yeah, is this one by Hilton Hotema as well?
Yes, one of his, either in that name or one of his other names.
Yeah, okay. Ancient Secret of Personal Power.
Yes.
Tetragrammaton. Yep, okay.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm looking for. Yep.
Yep, I see it. I see it. Yep.
Yep, but
First
you know,
published
I
63.
tell people like this. It's only a couple of people that you hear talk about being a breatharian or a fruitarian, and I've always kind of wondered about that a little bit more. Um, only because of the simple fact I in studying nutrition and knowing, about, natural sugars, natural acids, all these different things like that. It'd be interesting to see what his diet consisted of, on the daily.
Yeah.
It would be really great to see whatever his diet program was. And he
Yeah.
does have books with that in it. So
Yeah. That first one, that man's consciousness. Yeah, that one has it in there. And not only did he talk about the breath and the fruitarian, but and lessening how much food you consume, but raw food, raw diet too. Like not even
yes,
like no cooked food either.
no cooked food, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
No cooked food.
also a lot of fasting.
Yeah.
A lot of fasting. He did a lot of fasting. So I would definitely, I know for a fact that, the fasting can definitely do something to awaken the cell regeneration. I do know that for a fact, because that's like I said, that was one of the things that led me to his work, was through another gentleman named Dr. Mark Daniels, whose book I was reading on cellular generation, and it led me to him. Yeah, I always been interested in cellular regeneration. Once I found out that things can grow things back, I wanted to know why we couldn't, and so that was the pursuit of that for me. So yeah, I've been on that page for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Learning how to grow back things. There's documentation of people growing back limbs, growing back teeth. We know that things like tonsils and adenoids, all these things grow back after they remove them. So I mean, it's not a far cry from what we've already seen in science. So I like to do some more research for sure.
Okay. Yeah. That definitely sounds fascinating.
It is. Come on, we scientists. That's what we do.
Yeah, we are. We
That's what
are.
we do. Well, that's my offering, Nick. And like I said, I don't know who ever heard of it, but if they didn't, but if I was betting, I think I would have won a little bit of money today.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
That's all right. So if y'all want to donate, since y'all didn't know, just hit me up, put that money through the phone.
Right.
But that's all I got this week, Nick. I'm very excited. When are we back together again?
Oh well, we're gonna be back in a new month.
I know. I'm excited.
June. Yeah, so it looks like June 13th. Yeah, June 13th.
June 13th. And we'll have that week too. We'll be discussing it. Oh, y'all really in trouble now. When we get to talk about the books we gonna bring to y'all.
Oh yeah. Yep. June 13th, we're back.
All right. Well, Nick, I don't know. Do you have some things coming up that you want to share? And if not, we can get ready to get up out of here.
I mean, just the usual. So, Dreams, Dollars, and Destiny new episode is dropping this Monday, June 1st, and that might be about it. Because the same day, I'll be back on Pronoia on the 13th as well. So you get the double. You get the double header. You get the unread and the on June 13th. But that's about it. So far, and then we'll remind the people about the unmasking morality conversation, as we get closer to the date, because we still got
at the end of the month.
Yeah,
that's the end of the month. Yeah.
But yeah,
well, the only thing MaWu Lisa Temple has coming up right now is we have the webinar on herbs, the esoteric use of herbs, on the 11th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. First folks registered will should I say the first folks in the room get a free gift. So we'll have some fun that day, and we'll be doing instead of 15 minutes of question and answers, since we did so well last time, we'll be doing 30 minutes of questions and answers. So bring your questions about your herbs and their esoteric uses, and we'll be able to share with you inshallah on that day. So that's on the 11th on Zoom, 7 p.m. If you are interested, get that information. We'll put up a flyer for you.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And later, Lady Saturn says, I've heard about the teeth before, but the limbs too.
Yes,
Wow.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Organs too. Organs too. Organs too. Yes.
Yep.
So definitely.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that's it. I think that's a wrap.
Well, y'all, you know what? Thank you, everyone, for joining us. For those of you who have been with us before, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. Tell your friends. This is your first time. We hope we see you again. We hope you found some valuable information in what we share. We enjoy what we do, so please come back and join us again. Do know that we take all suggestions. We look for new authors with books coming out. We are doing that still. And we got some other things coming up soon for some of our authors. So please keep your eyes on, what should I say, your ears open for those bells. If you haven't signed up for Mr. Westbrook's class on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. I'm at MaWu Lisa Temple with a Z 4610. Hit that bell. That way you know what we got going on, when we got it going on, and follow us over there on Instagram in case we decide to bless that space with some of our information as well. I'm your sister Roo with UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo, and that's all I got for you. Peace.
Yep. Peace, y'all. And Lady Saturn, you can also click in the video title too. MaWu Lisa 4610 is tagged in the title, as well as the description of the video too. So you could just click right on that hyperlink and it'll take you to a channel.
Yes, and thank you for joining.
All right, y'all. Peace.